Well, welcome to 501, BUS 501, the MBA opening residency. I wanted to walk you through a PowerPoint that will describe some goals and just some things about USF and the School of Business. First of all, just know that we are a Christian liberal arts university. We are a Baptist university affiliated with the Baptist churches. Our motto is Culture for Service. And so we very much have a service attitude on campus. We try to always think about how we can serve our fellow students, we can serve the community, things like that. And so our goal is to foster academic excellence in the development of mature Christian persons, service to God and humankind. Now, just because we are a Christian university affiliated with the Baptist churches, we are all inclusive. Basically, it doesn't matter what your faith is or where you're at in your Christianity. We want you here. Okay, so we're all inclusive, and we're not here to judge based on anything. We just want you here. We want you learning. We want you to become a better student, a better person, whatever your goals are. And so the academic experience that you should expect to find at USF, first of all, let's just think about the School of Business and what we do in the School of Business. Obviously, we have our traditional undergraduate programs. We have about 270 undergraduate business students, more traditional, think 18 to 20 something year olds who mostly came here right out of college. A lot of those majors are business administration, which is the most popular one, public accounting, which is a 5-year degree, accounting, which is a 4-year degree, sports management, and entrepreneurial studies. Those are kind of the bigger degree programs that we offer in the School of Business for undergrads. We also have a degree completion program. Those are for typically adult students who maybe got an associate's years ago or have just kind of taken classes here and there through their lives. And they're at a point where they want to take that and finish it up and get a bachelor's degree. And they do it just one night a week. They come on campus one night a week. It takes them around 2 years, 2.5 years, depending on how many credits you're bringing in. And you can get a degree in business administration, accounting, or entrepreneurial studies by doing that. Also, they do theirs online. Okay, and then of course MBA, which is what you're in, and we've got concentrations for MBA, general management, project management, innovation and marketing, and healthcare. Now, what's online only is the general management, so which is the most popular of the typically probably 60 to 70% of our students are the general management. Some of the faculty that you'll be having in classes throughout your MBA experience. You can see our full-time faculty on the left who we have on board. Not all of them teach MBA. A couple of them focus more on undergrad or DCP. On the right-hand side, those are adjunct faculty, affiliated faculty, who most of them have, some are retired or semi-retired. Many are working full-time elsewhere. A couple of them are actually faculty that are full-time at USF in other departments, but they enjoy doing MBA and offer their services to us to do MBA. So a long list of people. You can see they have to be, academically qualified to teach with us. So they bring in a lot of experience into our classroom settings, which I think you'll enjoy. So you'll have a mix of full-time and part-time. How our School of Business is set up, we have a chair, Brad Van Kelsbeek. Brad does not really teach MBA. He focuses more on undergraduate and DCP. Me, the director of the MBA program, and then Wendy Dooley, who is our program coordinator. And I always say she's the oil that makes the machine run. She does quite a few things for the entire School of Business. The MBA program itself started in 1993. There are 6 other cohort groups going on right now. These are all on ground. You are the first online portion, so 35 through 38 for traditional MBA, and then healthcare 8 and 9 are also going on right now. So we're started ground 39 and healthcare 10, and then the online group just started here in September. The program goals of the MBA. So some of the things that when you're done with your experience in a couple of years, some things you should be able to look back on and go, okay, um, did I have a mastery of competency in our core? We have 8 core classes, 4 concentration classes. The concentration classes for you would be management type classes. And the goal with those is to develop strategic thinking skills, right? Become better critical thinkers. That's one thing we hear from businesses is we want people who are problem solvers, who can look at a situation, bring new and fresh ideas, a new approach, and help us solve an issue or problem that we're having. And also think strategically. Obviously it's easy to get bogged down in the day-to-day grind and the short-term deadlines of things we all have to do. But you also need to sit back and think long-term, have a vision, think about what I'm doing today affects the long-term strategy of my business, and also have a strategy for yourself and where you want to go with your career. And of course, we take ethics, leadership, and personal faith very seriously, and so we try to facilitate the understanding and relationship with those things. And being a Christian liberal arts university, ethics, leadership, and faith are things that we take very seriously as we deliver the program. Design of the program, obviously being online learners, you know that you have to be self-directed. You'll have, it's very easy to communicate with your faculty. I would recommend that you get used to emailing them, phone calls. They will definitely WebEx with you live if you would like them to, or Skype with you live if you would like to. It's just a matter of you taking that initiative. Also know that basically the material will be delivered to you mostly through recordings, WebEx recordings, YouTube recordings, kind of whatever that faculty member finds easiest for them to use. But being online, you have to be more self-directed, and just kind of plan your week out. What are the assignments that are due? How much time will I need to absorb the material? Read the chapter in a book, or do some outside reading, do some research. Take a test or a quiz, do a discussion board post, write a paper. Those are the things you have to kind of think about timeliness wise. Okay, and in 501, there's not a lot of homework, so you're not going to be bogged down in these first 3 weeks. But that'll change when you get into your first regular MBA class. You'll have many more things to work on. So we kind of start you off slow, get you used to it, then we have you dive in. So basically, that's kind of what we think. And of course, we're really trying to focus on getting you to be a critical thinker, a problem solver, and think strategically. Those are some of the biggest things that we want to focus on and that you will definitely be learning throughout the program. Just so you know, the program's been around since 1993. And if you think of the really large employers in Sioux Falls, they would have several graduates of our program. And you can see some of the companies here where we've had significant a number of graduates go to, or still, that's where they're working when they came here, and things like that. The big hospitals in town, obviously. If you think of any of the big banks that are operating in town, go downtown and think of any of the big businesses that are around. They're going to have MBA students that went through the program. Just some of the things we hear from our graduates. We listen to our graduates. We do a couple of different assessments with our students as they're near finishing, and just some of the things that we hear back. Academically challenging, it met my expectations, things like that. So hopefully the experience goes well for you. The purpose of kind of having this very introductory class, just meets the 3 weeks, is we're trying to just kind of set the table. We're trying to make sure that you will start your first regular class successfully. That's why we have you do a case study, and as long as you do the work, you're going to be fine. We're not grading it in terms of, boy, you really blew the answer. We're just looking at your style. We're trying to give you tips, or trying to make sure that when you go to a regular class and do a case study, that you kind of know what we're expecting and what we're looking for. So that's part of what this class is. We'll have you do an assessment, and I'll explain that in a separate recording. And that's just to kind of get a baseline for where you are today with some business competency, and we'll measure that towards the end of the program. We'll do the same thing, and hopefully we'll see some big changes in your competency when it comes to business. And also as part of a learning community. And a learning community is pretty easy to think of when everybody's sitting together in a classroom, but you also have an online learning community. And with the class is open, that you can see the pictures of your classmates. There's only 4 of you now, but that will change, that will grow as we progress through the program. So you have a small community of 4 of you just now, but that will grow as the program progresses. So just be aware of that. But don't be afraid to reach out to each other, help each other out. You'll post things in discussion boards, and that's where you're going to kind of quote unquote talk to each other and so on. So there's still plenty of opportunities to be in a community and learn from each other and get to know each other. So we think strategy a lot in the MBA program. We really talk strategy a lot, and I want you just to be aware of strategy. Okay, and it's going to come up a lot. It's going to come up in the case study that we're doing right now. It's going to come up in classes. Even I do a cost management class you'll be taking next summer. I talk strategy in that. We crunch numbers and try to think strategically with the results. And how do we assess the results? How does it affect the operations of the company? How do we compare to our competitors, the industry average, by crunching numbers and thinking about the ramifications of decisions and some things like that. So many classes are like that. And of course, as you think about where you are today and where you want to be 2 years from now, I want you to think about having goals, right? Smart goals. Where are you now? Doing that self-assessment, and that's part of a business assessment we're going to have you do. And then how am I going to get there, right? The academic process of, with every class, absorbing the material, watching the videos, watching the lectures, reading the materials, doing research, posting to a discussion board so you can learn from each other, and the various tasks that you will do with your different faculty members. The final thing, or this is not the final thing, but the next thing I should say is just to review the student handbook. I will place a copy of it digitally out here. It's not there yet, but I'll do that next. And so just some things to keep in mind regarding the handbook. Obviously, now when I do this for the ground folks, I give them this kind of say fake quiz, because letter D or the last answer is always the correct answer. But just know that with online, obviously, physical attendance is not an issue. You don't have to physically attend anything during a week. But I would just say, when it comes to your assignments, if something comes up in your life where you know that a child is ill, a spouse is ill, death in the family, something's going on that's going to affect your studies, we know as faculty that life happens. Life happens to us. And so we try to be gracious, we try to work with you, but the key is to over-communicate with us. It's okay to let us know these are going on. I do not think less of a student because their child is sick and they had to deal with that, or the child ended up in the hospital or for some reason they couldn't get to their studies for 2 or 3 days. I will not think less of you. Nobody will. We want to work with you. We try to be gracious in all things that we do. So if you have life issues, I would just say communicate with us. And that's your first line is your faculty members. So whoever's teaching that class, that's who you should go to first. If you still need help, you definitely get a hold of me. And you guys have my email, steve.horan@usufalls.edu, and just email me or call me, and I'll be more than happy to help you out. Our incomplete policy, it's pretty rare that incompletes are a big issue. Again, if you get towards the end of the class and life got in the way and you need a few days or a week or two to finish up some final assignments, communicate with your faculty first. If something really big is in the way, that you have some really big issues, you can definitely file for an incomplete. That does not happen very often because we tend to just work with faculty and the student directly, and they come up with a plan, and whenever the student completes the final assignments, then we can just do a grade change. Not a big deal. Those are easy for us to do. I do want to mention, though, that the clock has started. Once this class starts, you have 7 years to complete your program. So just be aware of this 7-year deadline. That should not be an issue. It very rarely is. Academic honesty is a very big deal for us. We expect that your work be your original work and not somebody else's work. Now, I fully expect that people ask each other questions, right? We do that all the time. As humans, sometimes if we don't understand something, we should ask, right? And quite often you might ask a classmate, here's what I got, what'd you get? And that's okay. I mean, that's definitely part of how you learn is you're comparing notes, you're comparing approaches, you're saying I crunched the numbers and got X, and somebody else crunched the numbers and got Y, and there's learning as the two of you look at the answers and try to figure that out. That's a good thing. But just know that when you submit work, we expect that to be your original work. It doesn't mean you didn't ask for help from somebody. You can do that. We expect that, right? You should ask for help. It's that way in the business world. If you don't know how to do something, if you're stuck, you should ask, right? My profession's accounting. I've always felt that as I've trained new accountants and hired them, I always say, if you don't know, ask. Because otherwise you get frustrated. So ask your faculty member, ask a student. We expect that. That's okay. So basically, I think we all know what plagiarism is, and using somebody else's work without proper acknowledgement. Just know that you are supposed to be turning in your original work. Okay. Now, occasionally you may be asked to do group work. It doesn't happen so much in online, but that could happen in some of the classes. You could be paired off into groups. And obviously then if it's a group assignment, what you turn in is the group's work. And we expect that. We know that. We made a decision, the faculty did, to say this is a group assignment. Whoever's in this group, we expect one deliverable that everybody contributed to. That's different than most assignments being individual. We expect the work that you did is your original work. Okay, and so plagiarism, as you write a paper, it's very easy sometimes to paraphrase something and forget to properly cite the source. That's going to happen, unintentionally. Your faculty member will probably, at first, say, hey, here's how you do it, fix it for next time. But when in doubt, cite a source. And there is some resources that will help you do APA format that are in our course in the handout section. So when you get to your first class that requires some paper, just come back and download that some of those APA guidelines that will help you just kind of remember how to do things. And so, of course, improper assistance is using the work of another person and not quoting that or turning in something as if it was you who had done it or whatever. So obviously we know what that is. Just don't do it. Registering for future classes. In November-ish, right around Thanksgiving, you'll receive an email from me, and that email will basically say, here's your next classes, your spring classes, and then you can self-register yourself for those. And the email will explain everything, but obviously if you have questions, you just let me know. Okay, it's that simple. You email me back, call me, and I'll be more than happy to help you out. So just talking about your role in the MBA program and what you should expect. We talk about learning communities, and online you can still have a learning community. I don't want you to think that you can't. And you can still get to know your classmates, communicate with each other. The emails are there for you to contact each other if you would like. You'll post discussion boards and see each other's writing and still get to know each other. That's okay. So no matter what class you're taking, around or online, that's a learning community. And a learning community works best when everybody contributes. Okay, so you're not afraid to hold back your opinion, share your thoughts, share your ideas with everybody in the class. Okay, so that's what we'd like you to do. And discussion boards are a great way to do that. And most of your classes will have some discussion board assignments where you can achieve that, that goal. So obviously the benefits of a learning community, you learning from each other. And if you ever do a ground class with us, you'll see that. You'll see that we expect you to speak up during class. We try to facilitate discussions. We try to get everybody to contribute somehow. No, not every night will everybody contribute. That's not always possible, obviously. But consistently throughout a class, we expect there to be contributions by you to the classroom discussion. What's your perspective? What's your experience? What's your history? We want to know. That's how we learn from each other. So just FYI. And of course, nurturing learning community. Sometimes what can happen is you have certain people who dominate them. Now online that doesn't happen too often, but on ground it can happen, where you have some people who just say something so forcefully that they really don't leave room for anybody else to have an opinion that's different, and so they can dominate a conversation and take it over. So just be aware, and this can still happen writing in a discussion board post. Just be aware that the goal is to feel like you're a member, right? To feel like you belong to this community, to this group. And you do want to influence it, right? But you don't want to influence it by dominating or commandeering. You want to influence it by having reasoned discussion, offering thoughtful opinions, and if you disagree with somebody, doing so in a manner that's non-confrontational. I respect your opinion, however, have you thought about this alternative? Something like that, as opposed to, I mean, that's the dumbest opinion I've ever heard. Obviously that shuts down conversation and makes people feel bad. So as you write these things, just kind of keep that in mind. You're writing, the other people will read it when it comes to discussion board posts, and you want to be aware of your writing style. So your role in the community, participate, right? That will be primarily through discussion board posts, maybe emailing your fellow classmates about questions, things like that. But just participate. It's that simple. Just be a part of the group and you're fine. And obviously your skill set will hopefully complement other skill sets in the class, and that's that learning from each other, having different perspectives. Maybe your background is significantly different than somebody else's, or I'm an accountant by trade, so I think very quantitatively, and so I enjoy reading somebody who's much more free-flowing and much more qualitative thinker than I am, because I learn from that, because it's not my natural style. So that's important for me. Whoops, and then I skipped ahead here. And then self-assessment, you'll be receiving an assessment tool from us. Unfortunately, you will not see individual results, but I'll show you your group results, and I'll walk you through that with a recording, kind of how that turned out. But basically, on your own, you can just kind of think about right now, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, what areas do you want to address, and then prioritize that. So on your own, you could do that right now. Just jot down a few things that you think are your strength, a few things that you're kind of weak on, and think about, how will I use those strengths to contribute, and then how will I learn those weaknesses? How will I get better at those? And so for me, I went through the program. I was group 9. So I was I started September of '99 and I finished in 2001. And for me, my background is an accountant. Okay, so I had a bachelor's degree in accounting and finance. At the time I went through the MBA program, I was moving up an organization. I had some direct reports. I had one management class when I was an undergrad, one, okay, which is just general management class. I had like one marketing class. A few of the generals, but everything else was accounting or finance or econ specific. And so I was very much into the numbers, but not so much into the how to be a manager, how to present information to a group of people, how to write an analysis or a proposal. And those were all things that I was very weak on when I came into the program, and those are things that helped me tremendously in the 2 years that I took to go through the program, that just were invaluable to me. So though I knew what my weaknesses were, I knew the things I had to work on, and I worked on those. So just do the same thing right now. Just jot down some notes, mentally make a note. What am I good at? What am I weak at? And how will I use my strengths to add to the classroom environment? And then how can I learn with the material from faculty, from my fellow student, how to take care of my weaknesses? Okay, so just kind of think about that mentally. So your case study, your first discussion board assignment is basically it's this. Well, actually, it's not here yet. I got ahead of myself. But just think about what a case study is. Let's just talk about case studies. I use case studies all the time in my class. Almost every faculty member does case studies. When I do a case study, I usually use one as a group project for points. I'll assign one or two for points that individuals work on and bring into the class. And I just use them for classroom discussion. Basically I hand out a case, I have students read it, and we talk about it in class. Now for online, you can still do the same thing, because you can post a case, you can say, read this, here's some questions, Now, write a discussion board post about the questions. How would you answer these questions? And then we just respond to each other dealing with that. So you still do the same thing online. It's just we're not physically talking, we're writing about it. But as you prepare for a case study, and I gave you a pretty big one, the ART case is long, but the goal is to increase your understanding, build your skills in assessing strengths and weaknesses, think strategy, right? So when you think strategy, think, what's the strategy of this company I'm looking at? How are they positioned in their industry? Do they have any strategic advantages? Are they poised to set or to be competitive in the industry? Are they worried about threats to new entrants or threats of competitors having new products that they don't have? What's going on with this company, its competitors, and its industry? Think about those. Identify the key issues of the strategy. Are they strategic issues? Are they operational issues? Maybe an HR issue, a process issue. You're going to have all kinds of things. When I do cases in accounting, quite often it's we have a potential thing that we can do. We can invest some money in a project, a product line, and we're trying to crunch the numbers and figure out, does that make sense with the numbers? And then we look beyond the numbers and go, okay, the numbers say we should do something, but is that the final answer? Or do we have to take more things into consideration? So that's a lot of what I do with cases. Come up with a plan of action. Here's the issue. How are we going to fix it? Here's our plan of action. Do we think it'll work? Right? Develop your sense of judgment. Sometimes cases give you incomplete information. Sometimes they intentionally try to steer you off into the wrong path. You have to be kind of aware of that. Okay? And so focus on results, not the right answer. And so as you think about the ART case, there is no right answer. Okay? And I'll do a recording with the right answer later on, but there is no right answer, just FYI. So as you get that case, get that ART case, skim it first. Read it at a high level. It probably will take you 15 to 20 minutes to read it once. Think a big picture as you read it. You might want to take a few notes as you read it. You don't have to, but you might. Focus on the exhibits though too. There's going to be some data given to you. Sometimes they give you data that doesn't really mean anything. It's just stuff to kind of throw you off, but sometimes I really do need this. So kind of make that judgment. Do I think I need this or not? If discussion questions are provided, obviously use the questions to organize your thoughts and think, okay, here's the questions, and as I read the case again, maybe make some notes or some highlights to say this information in the case is going to help me answer question 1 or question 2 or so on. So prepare notes, use resources to enhance your preparation. When I do cases in accounting, they come from a particular chapter, so I expect you to use your book as a resource, or journal articles we've looked at in class, things like that. So generally what you'll find is when you get a case, it's related to material you've been learning in your book, journal articles, whatever else you're doing, that you'll want to go back and look at. Now for the ART case, that's not the case with this one, because this case kind of just stands alone for this class. So if case discussion questions are not provided, so sometimes you may be given a case and say, summarize this case, summarize the information, and post your thoughts about it without a specific question. So develop your own questions. What are the things that as you read it, you want more information about, or things that you think somebody should know about it? Okay, and relate the issues, of course, to topics from your book, your course materials, and obviously the particular class you're taking, the cases will be geared towards that topic of that class. Case discussions are not opportunities to recite knowledge learned, right? That's not necessarily what we're trying to do. We're trying to learn new things. We're trying to develop new insight and knowledge, okay? They're not designed to make you feel comfortable. We're trying to get you out of your comfort zone. We're trying to give you a case that's thought-provoking, where everything isn't black and white, but very gray. And you're trying to minimize the gray areas a little bit, or explain them, and come up with some thoughts, okay? Our opportunity is to listen, develop an argument, explain yourself, and listen to others. So you'll do that through your discussion board posts. You'll have an opinion, and you'll post that opinion and what your take is, and then respond to your classmates. Okay, so take responsibility for your point of view and contribute your thought process to the case. Okay, and of course it's okay to collaborate. You can collaborate with each other even online. Believe it or not, you really can. So preparing for the case study analysis. So obviously, as you read it, make notes, expect to be challenged by the case, prepare evidence to offer your position. We're going to make you have an opinion, and so prepare evidence to support your opinion. Okay, and so that's what will happen in the discussion board posts. I'll jump in with some thoughts and conclusions as you write those posts. Okay, so for week 1, there is a discussion board topic out there that you should go look at. Read the case, and follow the directions on the discussion board topic, and then we'll have further instructions later on. Okay, so but just that's what you'll do for the case. So hopefully this all made sense, and hope you're enjoying the program. And as always, if you have questions, you just let me know.